Alright, so I'm going to actually talk about the recent information that has come out in regards to Dragon Ball Super in the upcoming tournament. So if you don't want to talk about any of that, this isn't the type of video for you. So anyways, if you want to hear about that, I'm glad you're here. That was my warning for you guys if you don't want to hear about that, as far as information that you may have not known about, which I kind of find unlikely if you're on the internet. I mean, like, I personally got that spoiled, so like it doesn't matter. But let's go ahead and move on from there. So the upcoming tournament will feature a girl Broly, a female version of Broly. That doesn't mean that it'll be literally her screaming Kakarot all the time, having some issue with a Saiyan and things like that. She's not going to be a rehashed Broly, at least I would like to think not. But she does share basically the same design, and it's a female. She goes from being super skinny, same way Broly does, to hulking out and getting incredibly massive. So that's going to be a thing. So just, if you ever wanted to see Broly back, I mean, you kind of are. Whenever she comes, that'll be your Broly. If you ever wanted to see a female Super Saiyan, so it's like double fan service, let's sell some toys, right? That's your version of the character, and that's what you have to kind of hark on. But kind of branching off that, okay? What does this mean for the other female Saiyan characters that we're accustomed to, and other female Saiyan characters that may come down the pipeline throughout the tournament or throughout the series? Let's go ahead and talk about that. So I feel like personally, okay, that the fact that there is a character that is Super Saiyan that's a female at this point means that they are not afraid to do this. And for the longest time they didn't do it, whatever the reason was. I believe that Toriyama said that he didn't know how he would make them look or something of that nature. Correct me if I'm mistaken. In an old interview, I should have probably pulled that up, but I just couldn't be asked to at this point in time. It's like 6 a.m. But it's something of that nature, which is why that never really was a thing. But I think that now that we know what it looks like, especially if this is something that they may do in the manga too, I'm curious to see if they do this in the manga too, to try to see where the blurred lines are, if this is something Toei is just doing or whatever the case is. Now that this is a thing, I feel like personally they have the opportunity to do something like that with Pan. Now, also, you can kind of stretch that off to Bulla/Bra, because another thing that's happening in Super is she'll be popping in any day now, so that's good. It took them long enough. I feel like they're a little bit late with her introduction to the series, but it is what it is. What that means is that if they want to, they can spend the time to rehash Pan's character, because as you know, GT is not quote-unquote canon. It was not written by Toriyama. Now, what Toriyama can do is he can say, okay, let's re-envision this character. A lot of people didn't like Pan in GT because she was too strong and she had other things about her. She was annoying and things like that. Whatever have you, you didn't like Pan, and that's understandable. But now what they have, and I talked about this in the past too, they have an opportunity to re-envision and redesign and reimagine this character and basically redo her, because you saw the interaction that we've had with her. You've seen the interaction we've had with her throughout the series so far. You've seen her flying into space with the peel-offs. You've seen that whole Barry Khan stuff. Like, Pan has been getting a lot of love. They don't shy away from Pan, and they don't shy away from the fact that she's basically a prodigy. I mean, take it how you will, but she overpowered Trunks for a moment there, and I'm just gonna kind of put that there. It was obviously kind of just something not to take too seriously, but it is what it is. So they are not shy about Pan as a character, and that actually is really cool, because if you look at Super, you say, okay, well, I mean, they're playing within this predetermined amount of time. At some point or another, they're gonna have to either rewrite the ending of Z or push it further out, or whatever they're going to do. They're going to have to retcon something, or even just jump over it and do it and then move into what would have been GT's timeline, because GT takes place 5 years after the end of Z, 5 years in the Japanese version, 10 in the English, whatever. But if they do that, okay, in which Pan would be older, she'd be about 12, 13, and so on and so forth, depending on where they start the series at. If they do that, they do have the opportunity to say something similar to, like, hey, Goku's been training Pan and Oob, and he wants to raise him up as like the next generation. He's taught Pan how to be a Super Saiyan, and then a lot of things that they could have done from there would make a lot more sense, as opposed to the way that it was handled in GT, where you just got a base form Pan, and she's just kicking butt. And a lot of people kind of assume, or there's the kind of notion via headcanon that Pan probably just couldn't do it because of her diluted Saiyan cells, which I don't really agree with. I just feel like if you're a Super Saiyan, you can do it. And then if you want to look at that, because the only real, other than what we've seen in Super, right, the only real Pan that we know is GT. If you look at GT as a whole, at the end of the series, take it as you will, once again, Goku Jr., Vegeta Jr. So, I mean, that shouldn't be a thing with Pan. She should be able to do it. I just feel like having a character pre-established in the canon of the anime, at least, is just going to open amazing doors, possibly. Now, we've come to this place before where we're like, okay, well, Super can do this. Super has potential to do this, but will they do it is the question. I don't know. I'm going to leave that up to you, but I just feel like at this point, once again, there is a lot of potential, and we can see a lot of crazy things down the pipeline, you know, depending on how they want to execute this. So let me know your thoughts down below. Would you be interested in a female version of Pan being, well, of course, a female Super Saiyan version of Pan, and maybe Bra or any other females that we get in the series later on? I don't know, but it's a refreshing change, you know, because we've gotten so accustomed to, you know, it being so predominantly male that you kind of sort of wonder, is this something that they can even do coming from a female species? But obviously they're all Saiyans. So anyways, hope you enjoyed today's video. Please subscribe to the channel if you happen to be new, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.